There it goes. What up, everybody? This is Kyle, and you are back here for another Thursday edition of Knockouts and Three Counts. And as I told you, we've got quite the guest with us today. We've got a guy who I've known for quite a long time, but any of you guys who are MMA fans, you're going to know plenty about him real soon. We've got Mr. Austin Bashi. How you doing, brother man?
Pretty good, pretty good. How about yourself?
Hey, man, I can't complain. I'm still breathing. I had an off day today. We're doing all right, man. How are you doing with your fight coming up? How's camp going so far? How's weight cut? All that good stuff.
It's going pretty good. Camp's going real solid. Nearing it down to the last week. Weight's coming off. It's going pretty well.
Well, throw out your social media and let everybody know where they can find you, because I noticed that you don't got a Twitter, but I know you got an Instagram and a Facebook, so let everybody know where they can find you.
Facebook and Instagram, just add Austin Bashi. So.
All right. Well, Corey, how are you doing today, brother man? Are you all right? Are you still breathing? Did a garage door fall on you?
No doors fall on my head this day, but what did fall on me today is entirely too much Chick-fil-A. And I ate entirely
Did that fall on you, or you just consumed too much Chick-fil-A? I feel like that sounds more accurate.
Entirely too much. I had an original, a spicy, and some nuggets, and a large fry, and some lemonade.
Good God, guy, and this dude's over here got to do a weight cut, and you just like, hell, I'm living my best life over here. Hot damn. Well, throw out your social media, man. Let them know where they can find you, all that good stuff, and we'll get started.
As always, the only thing that I keep up on anymore is Twitter. Fight fan from the 313. Let's get to it, boys.
All right. Well, as I mentioned, Austin, you and I have known each other for a little while. I don't get to go to Warrior Way as much because I was mainly at MASH and Fuse for a lot of it. But, dude, it's crazy to see you up here doing your thing now at XFC, because I've been watching you all through the amateurs, seen you do your thing in kickboxing. I've seen you do your thing in wrestling and everything in between. So how long have you been training all together, for those who think that this is only your second pro MMA fight but don't realize all the experience that you got coming into the cage?
Right, yeah. So I started when I was 8. I'm coming up on around 11 years right now.
Wow.
So you said 11 years. So what'd you start with first? I know you've had Thai fights. I know you've had jiu-jitsu matches and done wrestling, but what'd you start with first?
So Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu I started first. Did those since I was 8 till now, and then I wrestled my last 3 years in high school.
That's an interesting mix, because usually you see somebody kind of isolate, especially in their early years of beginning in martial arts, kind of in one field, whether that be striking or grappling. And you, Muay Thai and jiu-jitsu, I mean, use different spectrums.
Mm-hmm.
Well, luckily for you, training with the team that we did, man, I mean, you've gotten to come up with a lot of, good guys even coming from Michigan. I mean, you come up with Métis, you've had Angelo and Brandon in your corner. I mean, tell me a little bit about that. It's funny because Michigan has never looked at a spot where it's like a spot where you got a hotbed of guys coming out of here. You know what I mean? You got like Cody Stamen that came out of here. You got Miles that came out of here, but obviously both of them are training outside Michigan now. Darren's really the only one that's left here in Michigan, but I would argue that if you really look hard enough, there's plenty of good coaching here in Michigan.
Right, for sure. I've been with them for 11 years now. They really raised me up since a kid till now, from the amateur days to my Muay Thai fights, jiu-jitsu tournaments, and all the way to my second pro fight today.
So tell me how this came to be, because I know, did you have to go through the full tryout for XFC to get in for the Young Gun thing, or were they already looking at you prior to the tryout?
No, they didn't know nothing about me. So I did those tryouts back in September, and then got the call and fought in November for them.
So what was the tryout experience like for you, though? Like, I know it was like an all day long thing. I was watching it while I was in Chicago. Tell me a little bit about it, because it seems like some guys kind of cracked under having that pressure, and then there were guys like you who did real well, and then other past guests of our show like Kenny Cross who got signed there, and Bobby Nash as well. So tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are now that you're removed from the tryout, and what do you think it was that made you, stand out from the pack?
Yeah, you know, so it was an all day thing. It goes from like 8 a.m., didn't get out there till like 8 p.m. There's a couple hundred people there, and it was just, you have to just keep your head straight the whole time, the whole day, because there's many different stations, and you just have to perform at all of them.
Was there any one particular part that was harder for you, whether it be the grappling or the sparring, or was there anything that kind of like threw you off about it, or was it just like another hard sparring session for you?
That's what it kind of felt like, just another hard training day. You had the grappling portion, the striking portion, and they ran you through a couple circuits. You just kind of like a hard training day.
Now, being it that they brought you in for the Young Guns tournament or whatever that they're running on that end, did they have you facing off against fellow people your age, or were you just kind of thrown into the pool?
It was just, you're thrown into a mix. I think it was like 150 pounds and under, and you guys just are grappling each other, striking each other. You're with each other pretty much all day.
Okay.
So that was the thing that was interesting, because I obviously, with it being here in Michigan, there were so many guys that we knew from the local scene around here, you know, trying to get on it. But obviously, you know, and especially heading into the second fight for you, you know, they really, you know, you really stuck out even from the, you know, the initial tryout, because, you know, they had you in a lot of the posters and all those things. And then for you to go out there and have a performance like you did against a guy who was coming out of Extreme Couture MMA, which is a highly reputable gym. And, you know, listening to other interviews you've done since the fight, you know, I know this, but a lot of America, if they watch that fight, would think that jiu-jitsu and grappling is your bread and butter. But I know that you like to stand and bang. So tell me a little bit about that in the first fight. I mean, was it kind of one of those things where you wanted to make sure you got the W, or were you just feeling more comfortable on the ground? Like, tell me a little bit about what your thoughts are on it.
So I personally think striking is my best thing I have, but I really think just I'm a wrestler just because my last couple fights, but really striking for sure is the best part of my game. But in that fight, I had to fight a little different. He was long and lanky. It was hard to get in on him, so I just had to wear him down for the whole time, 15 minutes, and try to make him collapse. That was the plan.
I mean, dude, you put on a clinic in that fight. Corey, we were watching that fight prior to our buddy Kenny Cross doing his thing, speedy recovery to the boss with that Achilles tendon. But was there any nerves for you with your debut being on NBC, though? Was there any, like, you know, was it just another fight for you, or did the lights get to you at all?
You know, every fight there's that pressure on you and there's that spotlight, but that's where I feel like I perform the best, when those kind of bright lights are on you, and that's what kind of wakes me up a little bit.
I like it.
That's got to be an interesting feeling, right? In that first fight, to go on there and broadcast television. And
it was of course a different feeling than the other ones. This one was for sure the biggest one.
Yeah.
So I know that I've heard you say
friends and family.
That's what I was about to ask about.
Say, go just something as easy as, you know, telling your friends and family, hey, you don't have to try to search for me on YouTube. You don't have to try to find my fight here. It's right here, channel, you know, XX on your TV. You know?
Yep.
So that was what I was going to ask about, actually. So I know that you've always said that your family doesn't like watching your fights. So with the XFC fight, was this any different? To where were they watching right away with it being a bigger stage, or was it still kind of one of those things where it's hard for them to watch you fight? Because I know your brother fights as well, man. I mean, it's got to be another day in the office for you guys.
Yeah, you know, it was still, they had the TV on, but they couldn't even look up on it. They were just looking down the whole time until the fight ended.
So what was their reactions after they knew you got the win, and that you got the win in dominant fashion like that, though?
Yeah, you know, they're a big fan. They love it. They love watching me. And after the fight, you know, then they finally started to watch it. They recorded and rewinded and watched it after.
It's like, all right, I know he won. We're all right. It's a that was always the funny thing for me, dude. Even with jiu-jitsu matches, man, like you can always, at least for me, I could always hear, like, you could pick out your family over everybody else that was yelling.
Yeah.
Like, you could, I don't know, at least for me, I could, like, you could always pick out, you knew, you could decipher the voices. Well, let me ask you about that, though. So, you know, obviously you've been fighting your whole life. Is fighting, like, are you into other sports, or is it mainly you're watching UFC, MMA, boxing, you know, kickboxing, or are you into the other sports?
Not too much, just honestly into fighting. I love watching UFC fights. I play a little bit tennis and golf in the free time, but just kind of watch you fighting and just train.
All right. Well, you mentioned that you like to watch the UFC. Another thing I picked out of some of these interviews you've been doing is you said that you think that the knee that Aljo got hit with should be legal.
Legal.
So tell me a little bit about your thoughts on that, because I was watching it as I was getting tattooed and I'm like, dude, he's totally down.
Mm-hmm.
What was crazy to me is as I'm watching it, I swear dude looked at his coach and was like, should I throw it? Should I throw it? And then proceeds to look at the ref after the ref goes, he's down, boom, and just knocks him out. I'm like, dude, what the hell? So tell me your thoughts on that. Why do you think it should be legal? And what were your thoughts watching that knee?
Yeah, of course, his hand was down. It was illegal, but I think it should be legal. It's a fight. I think everything should just be legal. And I don't know. And I don't know if Aljamain Sterling was actually if he would just, I know it hit him hard, but I don't know if he was kind of faking it or if he could really come back and fight, because that happened to a lot of people and they'll just come back and fight.
Yeah,
See,
but
go ahead.
The difference with that being, and at least in my opinion, also saying this bias as a fan of Aljamain Sterling going into that, but once you kind of got your ass kicked a little bit over the last 2 rounds and then the accumulation of that on top of that knee, I think it was more so the accumulation than necessarily the single strike itself. But that being said, either way, imagine taking a strike like that in one of your fights and then trying to jump back and start from ground zero. You know, like
Yeah.
I can argue with your point that yes, it's a fight, so something that is possible to throw in a fight that's not like a groin shot or an eye poke or something like that kind of should be legal in my eyes. But with the rule set being what it is, it's not. So him taking that knee, in my eyes, in a championship fight, he would have been dumb to subject himself to just stand up and get knocked out and then lose his possibility of getting another fight with the guy, in my opinion.
So that brings up a good question, though. You being a UFC fan, man, do you think that highlights, to me, this kind of highlights a bigger issue, and I want to hear your thoughts as a fighter. To me, I feel like part of the reason why we're seeing such an uproar and why some people think that it should be a legal shot, other people think it shouldn't be a legal shot, is because of the inconsistencies in the refs. I say that because we're talking about this fight, but then a couple fights later, you've got Jermaine Durandamy versus Holly Holm, and in a 5-round fight, in 2 straight rounds, she got her with shots after the bell that were like plainly after the bell. And then when you hear the audio of the referee afterwards, like when he's walking up to the corner, I'm taking care of it one more time, and we're looking at taking a point. Like, she already did it twice, dog. Like, how many times are we gonna do this before you're gonna take a point away? I feel like something I heard Jimmy Smith say that is very true is it seems like referees are seeming to be a little bit more worried of the social media backlash. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's because of the inconsistency in calls, or do you think people are being soft?
I mean, yeah, the refs, of course, make mistakes. Every ref's going to make a little mistake, but just the reason I think it should just be legal, just not because of any of the refs or anything or the rules. I just think it's a fight, and you should be able to do literally anything you want in that fight.
I can't argue that. So with that being said, have you gone back and watched a lot of the Pride stuff?
Not too much. I was not that far back. But
man, because I feel like Pride, and what about Risen that we got back now? You know, Darren Cruikshank was fighting for them, and I mean that's basically real similar to the old Pride rules.
Yeah, I was watching that. I watched a little bit of that. But that's been on pause for a while now, right?
Yeah, they haven't ran anything in quite a while. There was supposed to be a big Grand Prix tournament, but then obviously with COVID that kind of broke everything up. You know, as we go into your fight, you know, as you said, you know, you got to work a lot of your grappling and things like that in this fight. One of the biggest things that I was saying going into this fight when I saw the matchup was that I feel like you're going to be able to surprise a lot of people with how well-rounded you are. With the stuff that you've gotten to look into with your opponent, is there anything in particular that sticks out with him, or is it going to be just, same old game for you, just kind of work your game and take what he gives you?
Yeah, kind of just the same old game. Just grind him out and give him 15 minutes of foul and just try to break him. Just mix up the grappling and try to get the finish.
Joel Cross, Bashi is the bomb. We hear you, brother man, and you are not lying. We got Papa Cross in the building showing some love to our fellow Michiganders out here. So where is this fight going to be broadcast on NBC like the last one on NBC Sports, or where are they?
Not this one. I think it's going to be on Fight TV, FITE TV.
Okay.
I know it's going to be on that. I'm not sure what else is going to be broadcasted on.
Do you know if the Fight TV one's going to be a free stream, or is it one of those you're paying for the stream, or?
Pretty sure there's like a subscription for it.
Okay. We're definitely going to have to check this out because Corey and I will be watching somehow or another. Another thing that you can see on Fight TV that I'd love to hear your thoughts on, how much of the Bare Knuckle FC stuff have you gotten to watch?
I've been watching that lately. I like that. That seems like a whole different game than just MMA. It's like,
what are your thoughts on watching it? Because I feel like, we just watched the last one that I got to watch was the Bare Knuckle Kingdom one. But before that, we saw Johnny Bedford, a guy that we've seen fight here a lot in Michigan for WXC and things like that, ex-UFC vet, and was their champion there, do real well. But, man, he got in there with a real boxer.
Yeah.
And dude was kind of giving him the hand. So what are your thoughts on what you've seen? And do you think Bare Knuckle FC's really got a chance to kind of like make a real foothold here in the States?
I think the fans like it too. Just one punch, they're already full of blood and their whole face is dripping blood. And I think they like it. I like it.
So we know you're young and got that pretty face, man. But are you, once MMA's done, or if the money's right, could we ever see you stepping in there in a bare knuckle fight?
Maybe one day after the career.
Go ahead, Corey.
You literally stole the words out of my mouth. I was just asking it in a different way if we could ever see you in there. But that it really is such an interesting thing. And like you said, a lot of the combat fans have been really kind of taking a hold of it. I know I'm a subscription holder for their streaming service, and it's genuinely entertaining. I think they're actually holding a card tomorrow, and I look forward to it. So, they actually got a pretty good card. They got Leonard Garcia's on that one. That's what I'm saying. I mean, they have a lot of sneaky names, and even it's kind of like the UFC. A lot of the fights that you might not necessarily know of as many of the people going into it, it makes the fights even that much more entertaining. Honestly, like you get surprised by the ability of some of these guys. It's pretty entertaining.
Have you gotten to see did you get to see the Bare Knuckle Kingdom one, Austin?
Which was that the one that was like last month or no?
How long ago was that, Corey? The one that was at the guy's house?
That was an offshoot that they did based out of Thailand. It was like a secondary promotion.
No,
dude, you have to watch this. It was, oh my God. The whole time I'm watching this, like, what the hell am I watching right now?
It was a true Thailand shit show when it came to bare knuckle boxing, but it was entertaining as fuck.
It was basically like you had the guys that trained at Fairtex, and then like some other guys that were fighting there, but it was hilarious because the guy that was the promoter for the whole thing is also the announcer, and just the stuff he's saying on air, I'm like, wow, this is wild. And then when you find out that guy's the promoter, and then the crazy part is the commercials in between it,
trying to get them pumped up going into fight.
Right?
Yeah, you got this, guys. Come on, put on a good show. Look at fans love you. There's like 20 people around this. It was. And
if you look around the ring, there's a dope view, but they're coming out of this dude's sliding glass door. It was insane. Oh, we got another.
Bare Knuckle.
It was called Bare Knuckle Kingdom. It's actually affiliated with Bare Knuckle FC, but it's like their sister promotion.
Yeah, if you have the BKTV app, it's probably one of their second, third most recently watched things.
Put it this way, dude. It was so wild that the commercials in between it, they were advertising fights where it was like 2-on-1, 3-on-1, like all kicks, like left way, like all it was insane, dude. I'm like, this is real life right now. But we've got another comment in the comments for you. Joel Cross saying he's got Bashi round 2, ground and pound. Gonna grab the he says he's gonna grab the boss and head to Oklahoma to support Michigan's up and comer.
Okay. They're coming?
Yeah, they said they're coming down to come see you do your thing, bro.
Yeah, we were when we were in Atlanta, we're with the whole Michigan crew pretty much the whole time.
Tell me a little bit about that. How was it for you to be able to get to travel down there with so many Michigan guys? If I'm not mistaken, there was you, Nick Horton, you had Kenny, you had Bobby. Am I missing anybody else?
I think it was us 5, yeah. Us 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you guys had quite the squad going down there. Did that make it
nice.
into your feet?
It was nice to have all the Michigan guys we flew in together, took the same flight there, and we're kind of just with each other the whole time, trained with each other, ate with each other, and then fought and then flew back with each other. So we're with each other the whole time.
That's kind of cool, man. Go ahead.
Away from the professional debut and stuff.
What did you say?
Did it take away a lot of the nerves from like the professional debut and stuff?
Yeah, being with those guys are all high levels, and Bobby UFC vet, and just has a lot of experience, so it was good to be around them.
I could imagine just being able to kind of sit back and see how they handle it and see the way that I imagine at least let the situations approach them and stuff and don't get it too in their head with this kind of stuff because they've been there, done that type deal.
Right, yeah.
So you can kind of sit back, relax, and kind of take it in and be like, all right, I don't need to be wound up on this small detail, that small detail. I just need to worry about what I got going on. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
So like I said, I know that we all know that you're a UFC fan at this point. So I thought, why don't we get your picks for some of these fights that we got coming up as well? And Joel said it's Joel popping in again. He said Ruth Chris was the bomb.
Yeah, that's where we went. That was
look, man.
Dinner.
Ruth Chris is the bomb, dude. We got one of those right by the office out there in Ann Arbor by where I work at the post office, man. So Ruth Chris is that deal. If you're ready to if you're willing to spend a pretty penny on some steak, man, you ain't looking too bad.
It was right inside the hotel, that Ruth Chris.
That's even better. Then you ain't got to go nowhere. You ain't got to worry about the COVID thing. Here, that's a question for you too. How was it for you guys fighting with the COVID restrictions? How was it out there at XFC? Was there any real bubble or anything like that, or any real restrictions out there?
It was good. Nothing really. Or just free float, just like how it should be. It was good.
All right, let me see. So like I said, we've got a couple UFC fights coming up. Before I let you get out of here and get your last words on the fights, I figured since I know you're a UFC fan, I want to get your picks on the fights. This weekend's main event, you got Derek Brunson and Kevin Holland. Who you going with? What you got?
I got Kevin Holland. He's been on a roll. He's been on a streak.
I like that. I kind of like Kevin Holland myself. How does he win? You going by knockout, decision?
Knockout. He has some nice striking, some crisp striking. I got him.
Corey, what are you thinking?
I think we would be very mistaken if we just sleep on Derek Brunson and forget to mention that this guy has been a solid contender for a very long time. I agree with your pick. I do think Kevin Holland's going to be able to pull it off. I've been, like you said, real impressed with not only his striking game, but his ability to be comfortable in there. I mean, it's one thing to just be good in multiple aspects, but to just look comfortable in there is a whole nother thing. And he does that better than most fighters that have been at this for a much longer time. But yeah, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't say, hey, Derek Brunson's got a serious chance, especially if he's able to implement some of his more clean striking game that we've seen since he made the move to Sanford MMA. I'm really curious about this matchup. I genuinely am. Derek Brunson has a way of dealing with some of these up-and-coming prospects that we seem to tend to forget going into his fights. So I agree with you in the Kevin Holland pick, but I would not be surprised in the least bit if Derek Brunson goes out there and.
So all that to say you agree with us. What the fuck?
Hey, I gotta make it long-winded, or else it don't sound like I know what I'm talking about.
I'm going with Kevin Holland on this one as well, man. I think Kevin Holland has been on a roll, like you said. I think that his momentum is going to help him out. I agree with you. I think Brunson's going to be a tough test for him, but I mean, look, after watching what that man did to Jacare of all people, the fact that he knocked Jacare out from his knees pretty much, That's wild to me.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
the fact that he's got that explosive of power, I'm convinced it doesn't matter who that guy hits. If he hits him with a good enough shot, you're going to sleep. So
Yeah.
that's just me. The last fight I got to get your opinion on is a guy that we got to meet here in Detroit when UFC was here because he knocked Alistair Overeem's head off.
Oh yeah.
Francis Ngannou is going to be taking on Stipe. And what are your thoughts on this fight, especially since one of our coaches, Big Don, was one of the guys helping Stipe get ready for his last couple fights with Cormier? What are your thoughts on the rematch for Ngannou and Stipe, and do you think we're going to see a new champ?
I think if he can't finish him in the first minute and a half, like that swarm he comes out with, then I got Stipe. But his last, I think 4 fights, he finished them in like 20 seconds each.
Yeah.
And didn't he almost finish Stipe that first time they fought?
Mm-hmm.
He cracked him pretty good. He damn near did. He didn't, but boy, look, all I'm saying is after being there, and like I said, if you guys have watched our show, you've seen the picture. The man's fist is bigger than my fucking head. All right. So you take that with the fact that the man hits hard from being as big as a tree stump. I mean, good Lord. I'm not trying to get hit by that man either. So,
and the craziest part is you see the way that he's knocking these people out, right? These are like skilled striking fighters that he's taken on. Like in the Jairzinho Rosenstrike fight, that guy was a world-class kickboxer before he made his way into the UFC. And he literally just rushed him and threw bombs from left to right, left to right, to left to right until one of them landed, and that's literally all it took. If he's able to do that against Stipe, man, Stipe's in for a long night. But I don't think
he's got the tools to finish it.
Stipe's got this way of dealing with these heavyweights, man. I mean, the only person that I've seen really get their hands on him was DC, and it was a short, quick kind of punch that landed on the chin. So he's obviously touchable, but he has a really good way of dealing with these big lumbering guys, and I feel like that's what we're going to see. I feel like we're going to see Stipe and Still at the end of the night.
I'm with you on that one. Are you going final pick with Ngannou or Stipe, Austin?
Final pick, Ngannou.
Wow.
Yeah.
You said you think we're getting a new champ, huh?
Yeah. New heavyweight champ. All right.
I like it. But for me, man, I like betting on these underdogs, especially since they opened up FanDuel here in Michigan, because it has served me pretty damn well. For those of you that have been watching the show, you know that while I was getting that tattoo by past guest of the show, Lindsay Snow, I came up on $125 during that Aljo fight. So we were all right. So I like betting on the underdogs, but dude, in this one, I feel like Stipe is just too well-rounded for him. I feel like he's not going to try to stand and bang with him, and I feel like his chin is just durable enough that if he can weather the early storm, like you said, and be able to get a hold of him and wear him out, I could see either Stipe winning by decision or finishing him probably in like the 4th round. But like you said, he has to make it through that early swarm.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what happens with it. Last question before I give you your last chance to let everybody know what they're going to see on March 27th for XFC. We also cover pro wrestling on this show. Were you ever a wrestling fan? If so, who were some of the guys you got down or like to watch?
I did watch, but not early day, just kind of like 7 years old I started. So it wasn't like those early guys like The Rock and Stone Cold. Those like John Cena, Rey Mysterio, Big Show, Kane, Undertaker.
I like it. See, there's some names from when we were coming up too, man. Like I said, I thought you might have watched it a little bit. I figure you probably don't watch it as much now, but what are your thoughts with so many of the MMA guys making their way over to wrestling at this point?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good career to have after fighting.
Hey, man, it's where you can make that money. I mean, Rousey made a killing when she came over to WWE. I was there for her first match and that one that was in New York where they main evented WrestleMania. And let me tell you, say what you want about women's MMA or women's wrestling or whatever you want as far as not being able to bring in the spectacle. Let me tell you, dude, they had all eyes on it when they were doing that. So it's interesting to see who's going to be next, man, because we've seen a lot of wrestlers try to make their way over to MMA too, which sometimes it's played out well.
Yeah.
Other times it didn't. CM Punk did great in wrestling and not so much in MMA, but hey, at least he's got commentary. Well, before we let you get out of here, like I said, you're fighting March 27th, XFC Young Guns 1. Any last words for your opponent, and what can everybody expect come March 27th?
I'm going to come looking for that finish, and at the end of the day, I'm coming to get my hand raised.
I like it. Straight and to the point. Corey, well, you got anything else before we let the man get out of here?
No, I'll let him take on the rest of his Thursday, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, man. Well, like we said, stay tuned. You don't never know who you're going to get coming from us at Knockouts and 3 Counts. Next week, we're going to be joined Tuesday at 9 p.m. by Icon Lee, who you can see in the vlogs from our trips to Texas, which the shows for Pele Pro on Fight TV. And then on Thursday, we're going to be joined by the Queen of Bad Street herself, the daughter of WWE Hall of Famer Terry Gordy, Miss Miranda Gordy will be rejoining us, and we're going to be talking about her tryout from the WWE Performance Center late last February. And we've got coming in late right here at the end, Jason Karma, Big Man, Austin. Like I said, make sure you check out Austin March 27th for XFC Young Guns. And until next time and in the in-between time, peace.